I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. I'd rather all his teeth fell out and he pooped his pants and had to roll across the street.
Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of the crazies on The View are having an utter meltdown over the liberal mainstream media having a panic themselves, but at the same time holding Joe Biden to account and pointing out how horribly his performance was at the debate. And now his polls are tanking lower, the money is drying up. Everyone, both media and in the party itself, everyone's losing their mind. No one has any idea what's going to happen or what they're going to do. Joe Biden has refused to drop out of the race thus far. And people on The View, Whoopi Goldberg, they cannot take the fact that even the liberal media, CNN, is pointing out all of his flaws and his obvious lack of cognitive ability. But it's crazy to see, which obviously means, in my opinion, that the media and the deep state has kind of turned on Joe Biden and they want to get rid of him because it looks like he cannot win this election coming up against Donald Trump. So I've got two videos. The first one from CNN, and I want you to pay close attention to how they are speaking about Joe Biden. It's really interesting, and I'm going to comment and point some stuff out afterwards. And after that, this segment from The View with Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of the crazies is going to show how ridiculous and delusional, and Whoopi Goldberg makes some shocking and absurd comments about how she feels about Joe Biden and everything that's going on. So stick around, let's jump in, and let's get it, folks.
Many Democratic officials with whom I've spoken are worried that President Biden and his family and his inner circle appear to be in complete denial, not just about whatever might be wrong with him, but the state of his candidacy right now.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
He doesn't think he did? After facing increasing pressure to demonstrate in public an ability to take questions and respond cogently for a lengthy period of time live about what he wants to do with the United States, his message, his plans, his policies, the president and his team have not held a press conference to demonstrate just that. He continues to do what he has done sparingly in the past, a short tape sit down with an anchor, in this case, George Stephanopoulos of ABC News. But before the president did that, he called into a couple of black radio stations where he said, among other things, this.
By the way, I'm proud to be, as I said, the first vice president, first black woman, served with a black president. I'm proud of the first black woman in the Supreme Court. There's just so much that we can do because together there's nothing. Look, this is the United States of America.
He's proud to be the first black woman. Not coherent. And even then, we later found out from the radio host that the Biden campaign had given her a list of questions to ask President Biden. That is a huge no-no in journalism, and the host was fired for it. But it remains quite telling that in the Biden campaign's efforts to show that the president has not missed a step, his campaign felt the need to feed questions to the hosts for a call-in radio interview. And the president still, even then, failed to deliver in many of his answers. Now, many elected Democrats are expressing concern about this answer, too, although it was quite coherent. George Stephanopoulos asking him how he would feel if he ultimately loses to Donald Trump, which polls have suggested he will.
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do, that's what this is about.
As long as he gave it his all and did the goodest job he could do.
I'll actually agree with Jake Tapper, but it's interesting to see CNN absolutely turn on a Democratic candidate because, trust me, I have watched CNN off and on for a long time, and they have never done this to a Democrat, ever. You see this against Republicans, and you've seen it against Donald Trump for 8 years, but this has never happened like this. So, obviously, people behind the scenes have turned on him because his poll numbers are tanking and he can't win. But Whoopi Goldberg and these people from The View just cannot take it. They cannot handle mainstream liberal media. They're trusted sources turning on Joe Biden, and their comments are utterly ridiculous and shocking. And what Whoopi Goldberg has to say is just cringe at the very least. But folks, jump in. Let me know in the comments what you think, but let's get it.
I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, And then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit then, say, you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it, and gave 4 years. So, yeah, I have poopy days all the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine. Now, I'm not running the world, but I don't know anybody who doesn't step in stuff at some point. So I'm just simply saying, there are 2 debates. And if he can't do what he needs to do for the second debate, I'll join any crew that says get rid of him. But loyalty to me, if you are doing the job, I might not like everything you're doing. I don't like it all. But I'm going to stand behind you like those guys stand behind the guy who should have been the person people were talking about saying, yeah, Biden had a bad day, but this guy couldn't tell the truth if it split his lip. But nobody said that, but Anna said that, I believe, or something. She's not quite as colorful as I am. But the question now
Give me a chance.
The question now is, because lots of Democrats are coming out saying, find somebody else. But when we tried to do that with DT, this is my new way of just describing him. When we said, listen, he shouldn't be on the ballot. Everybody said, no. The people chose him. We can't take him off the ballot. Well, I don't understand why anybody thinks it's going to be any easier to take Biden off the ballot. But I want to say something.
Well, I gotta tell you, I'm worried and I'm pissed. Frankly, I'm livid. Because for the last 8 days, it feels to me, I have seen nothing but breathless reporting. It almost feels like media malpractice of them trying to score the winning goal against Biden. Who can have the gotcha moment? They've been splicing, dicing, cubing everything he says, putting on a microscopic slide, and then looking at it under all sorts of magnifying glasses. Look. Joe Biden is the nominee. He is the human being standing between us and Donald Trump. I think Democrats need to stop making the case against Joe Biden and start making the case against Donald Trump. I think the media needs to give some parity to the coverage that they are doing, because in their zeal to fact check Joe Biden, they too are making mistakes. Yesterday, I saw the Washington Post reporting that Ted Lieu had asked in that conference call for Biden to step down. Except a few minutes later, Ted Lieu went on social media and said, I never opened my mouth. Yeah. Then there was the entire thing with Mark Warner. Look, I saw Joe Biden the day after the debate. I saw him that night at an LGBTQ gala. I hugged him so tight, I almost broke a rib. I thought the Secret Service was going to come. Girl, you got to go really deep to get my ribs. He's got less body fat than I do. But I saw Joe Biden, so I'm not an anonymous source. I'm not somebody pretending to have spoken to him. No, I actually did speak to him, and he was just fine. He had a bad night. And until Joe Biden tells me he is out, I am riding with Biden-Harris. Okay. And the second part of that, I think, is very important, because they are a team. And Kamala Harris has come out so strong this last week as part of that team. And part of the reason I have no qualms about supporting Joe Biden, zero, is because I know that if something happens to him, like every other vice president, she will step in, and she is prepared, she is experienced, she is decent, she is compassionate, she is smart. She is far from the caricature that Republicans have tried to build with her. So you know what? I am with Biden-Harris till the damn end.
Yeah. The problem is this. The problem is this: most Americans are never going to get a chance to dine with the president or to be at fundraisers with him. 50 million people tuned into that debate, and it's going to be undecided voters and swing voters who determine this election. I believe that Trump is a threat to democracy. I am horrified that my party nominated an aspiring fascist, and there is one way to stop it. It is in the ballot box. The courts are not stopping Donald Trump, so it is who is running against him. And I'm starting to question if Biden recognizes how big of a threat Donald Trump actually is. Because as George Stephanopoulos rightly pointed out, there's no example in modern history of somebody having Biden's approval rating, having nearly 50% of his own party saying they don't want him to be the nominee, they want someone else, and 70% of voters saying they're worried about his age, and going on 4 months later to win. I don't think we're just risking the White House to Donald Trump. I think you are risking a sweep in the House and the Senate. And I actually would argue, unpopular take, I think Kamala Harris would perform better because I think voters felt gaslit being told that Biden is as sharp as a tack. I think a young, energetic Democrat running and saying that they're at the top of the ticket actually will perform better head to head.
Well, I will be voting for President Biden if he is on the ballot come November for all the reasons you guys so adequately spelled out. I don't think he can win up against Donald Trump as it stands right now. I just don't. And his age and frailty were always apparent to me, and they didn't concern me, probably because of who he's up against, but also because I've been more happy than not with the administration. But I blame those closest to him, not the media, Anna. I blame those closest to him because by this time, President Obama had given 570 news conferences and interviews. Trump had given 468. Biden's given 164. If they had put him out there earlier, we could have either discovered this problem with time on our hands or squelched it immediately. And that's on their hands.
Well, I have to say,
So there you go, folks. Genius level insight from Whoopi Goldberg and The View. So Whoopi doesn't care if Joe Biden is crapping himself and can't talk. Another one wants you to ignore the fact that Joe Biden is crapping himself and can't talk. Another one says Trump is just fascist. And the last one says she's completely or was completely aware of Joe Biden's ailment, meaning she may be aware of him crapping and can't talk. It just didn't bother her. I guess she didn't even bother to think about it. Like, folks, this is just ridiculous. Like, it's just stupid, but I don't know what else to say. Let me know your thoughts down below. What do you think about what Whoopi Goldberg and the rest of these people had to say? Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate it. Now let's check out what the rest of Whoopi Goldberg has to say with her ridiculous comments.
one of the reasons Biden has not been out there is because he's been working.
I don't know that that's fair to say, though, respectfully.
No, I'm telling you what I know.
But NATO leaders came out and said that they were actually relieved at first, and then he went back and told a story that he started with, and they were worried about his mental state.
You know what?
We have to be willing to consider this.
Listen, here's what I consider. I consider it, and I know this is not what you mean to do, so I'm going to clean this up right here. You're not being ageist when you say he's too old. I want to make sure everybody understands that. That's not what we're talking about. We're not saying, oh, you're too old to do the job. That is not the concern. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Okay.
I worry about his ability to beat Trump, but I do worry about his ability to serve 4 years. And I think, like Nancy Pelosi did, it's time to pass the baton to the next generation.
Well, the next generation is not quite prepared the way they should be, and that's okay.
Well, meaning the vice president, even.
Yeah. As we know, as I said, and we'll go to break in a second, you're not allowed to shift that way. That's the way it is. He is the person that we chose. He is the one that he is up against. And I personally, I've seen, and again, I've known him 1,000 years, and I've seen him step in lots of different stuff and come back and make better than when he started. I trust that. I'm not a big fan of either party. I don't like the loyalties that either party, the Democrats or the Republicans, seem to do.
Welcome to Independentville.
Well, yeah, but I've been on three sides of that. And the way that they do people when they say, you're not going to win, get out of the way. You know, I'm not up for that. I believe you have the ability to do the job, and I'm going to stand by that. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. You know, but I'm willing to take that shot because, as I said, I'd rather all his teeth fell out and he pooped his pants and had to roll across the street than choose a man who I know is out to destroy the country that I grew up believing.